That's a good itch that you can scratch in the morning. How are y'all doing today? I'm Jacob Walters here with Doug Canathan. We're talking about Jacob's Realm today, and we got some news that we got to break to you. So, break it away.
The NHL and Fanatics have just announced the hometown remix jerseys for this year. All 32 NHL teams are going to be getting an alternate jersey. It's the first league-wide special edition program developed by Fanatics since the company took over the Authentic on Ice sponsorship a couple years ago in 2024. This is their first big project. I'm excited. I love hockey jerseys. I love alternate jerseys. I do not love Fanatics, so I don't necessarily trust how this is going to go. But NHL has always had a pretty good track record of alternate jerseys, especially when they do league-wide stuff like this. And I am super, super excited. I don't know how you feel, Jacob.
I'm rather curious about how the Golden Knights one will turn out. I don't think they've released them yet, so I'm thinking maybe something along the lines of, I don't know, like the skyline, or maybe like Blue Man Group playing in the background or something like that. You want to make it as close to your city's culture as possible, and that Vegas has been known for entertainment. Plain and simple. It's always been known for entertainment. It's always been known for nice little shows on the Strip and even on Fremont. And you got to at least go to some lengths to incorporate that into your jersey. So I think with the Golden Knights, that should be the case. That should be like a Blue Man Group, maybe put Carrot Top on there, or I don't know, Barry Manilow. Like, the possibilities with this are endless, and I'm excited to see where this goes for the Golden Knights. And honestly, for the NHL, you could say the same thing for any of the 31 other teams. There are a lot of possibilities that you could really work with here. I kind of thought the first thing I thought of with this was the what was the MLB jersey, like the City Connect jerseys that they do? That was the first thing that I thought, and it was like, oh, they're going to do something similar to this, which is awesome. So you kind of hit home. You get to talk a little bit about your city, rep your city, yo, and all that jazz and good stuff. But I'm curious as to what you're in Philadelphia, so I'm curious to see what you think it should be for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Well, I'm expecting probably a nice black number. It's going to be something black. I think it's going to be something that represents the city. It's going to be tough and gritty. I don't think they're going to do anything skyline related, but I could see them doing something with Broad Street. Maybe something related to the area where all the stadiums are. Maybe they do something with Gritty, a black jersey with Gritty's face on it.
They totally should. That would be amazing if they actually did something with Gritty.
I think that might be something cool. Other than that, I don't know. I think they're going to stick to the colors. I'm looking at the colors now. It looks like they have a gray number, which is unfortunate. I don't think Philadelphia should have a gray jersey. I think it should either be black or orange, but I think there's a lot of possibilities. Maybe a Liberty Bell. I think that's an easy one. That's one that the Sixers have done a couple times. Use that in their iconography.
You know what would be funny if they actually just put the Eagles doing the tush push on there, just as a hilarious little one-off, and just be like, hey, we're just going to do a tush push. I mean, this, like I said, this is a great idea for the NHL, and I know that Fanatics has a bit of a reputation, per se, but it's also a good way to bond with your city, to feel proud about your city. And let's be honest, like, we haven't had a whole lot to be proud of in recent years. With a lot of like events going on in our country, it's like you feel like you need something else in your life. And I think with this, you get that something else, and it feels a lot better. And like, hey, I can rep my city. This reminds me of the history behind it, the lore, the culture, everything in between. And that's going to be true for Vegas too. It's going to be the exact same thing. So I'm all for it. All for it.
I think, yeah, no, I love jerseys. I love alternate jerseys. I think it can never be too many alternate jerseys. I love one-off types of stuff, and I think the NHL especially is super underrated when it comes to jerseys and uniforms. Everyone loves their old basketball jerseys. Everyone loves, like an Earl Campbell Houston Oilers jersey if they can get something like that. But hockey is super underrated. First off, they're comfortable. They're huge and they're comfortable and they're recognizable. Like they are expensive, which I think puts a little damper on a lot of people from getting some. But yeah, no, I'm super excited and I love this stuff. One thing I
Yeah.
would like to talk about, we don't have anything in terms of what they're gonna look like, but we do have colors that they're going to represent or colors that are gonna be used on the jerseys. And there's a couple interesting ones, if I do say so myself. So the Anaheim Ducks and the Chicago Blackhawks will both have green jerseys, which is strange to me. Or at least that's the primary color for their jerseys. Their primary color will be green. The Florida Panthers will have a pink primary jersey color, which is interesting. It seems like they're gonna lean into the Miami Vice that the Miami Heat do, and I love those jerseys. I'm not a big fan of the Miami sports teams, but the Miami Vice jerseys are usually top tier. And if the Florida Panthers can pull off a nice Miami Vice looking jersey, I think it's probably gonna be the best one out here. Or it could be the worst.
Could possibly be the worst. I mean, it's kind of tough to incorporate. I figured that the Calgary Flames would do pink for Bret Hart. So think about that.
That would have been sick. Having a Hart family jersey.
Oh my gosh. Just for him, just for the Hitman? Oh my gosh. I would have bought that in seconds. Like go all the way back to 90s WWE, but
have like the glasses on it somewhere, like the front.
Exactly. And then you could just put people in the sharpshooter and then you could go to town on them. It would be perfect.
That would be wonderful. Yeah. Vegas is black, which I think we're not surprised with. Either black or gold was probably going to be what Vegas ended up with. A lot of black jerseys.
Yeah, a lot of black jerseys, which is a rather interesting concept. I don't know what the fascination is with that. I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna be simpler to do if I had to guess, but it beats me. Still, a lot of good concepts to work with. I think that for Chicago, they could do something for like the St. Patty's Day ordeal where they usually dye the river green and it would just be perfect and make perfect sense. I think for the Ducks though, the 93 movie, not the 93 movie, but the movie, the Anaheim Ducks movie, Mighty Ducks, it kind of incorporates that because their jerseys are green. And I think of the Gordon Bombay jersey, which is pretty much that. So there's, again, a lot of good tie-ins with what they're doing. So
yeah, I think the biggest thing, or one of the big things, will be comparing this drop to the couple of recent like alternate jersey drops we had. The past couple have been reverse retros. We did 2 editions of reverse retro jerseys before the manufacturer switched, and I think Fanatics really has to show out. They are not known for doing a good job, at least among sports fans. So getting an opportunity like this with the NHL and being able to do a league-wide alternate jersey edition, I think this is big. This is big and this is important, and it could make or break Fanatics at this point, I think, because they're not in a good way. They're not doing great.
They have a reputation, I think, of not producing the best quality, or it just looks like it was made off of Temu, which you don't want to develop that reputation. You don't want to develop a reputation as being cheapo jersey maker and schmucko apparel maker and all that jazz. But you want to sell good quality. You want to sell something that is reliable, that doesn't tear off at the seams so easily. that's what you want to develop a reputation on. And unfortunately, Fanatics has kind of veered away from that, which is not very good. So you don't want to be the schmucko that sells cheapo jerseys. Let's just summarize it like that.
No, not at all. Especially with hockey jerseys when they're $400 or $500 for a fan to grab a replica jersey. Having something that is low quality would be like a death sentence. Something that takes half of someone's weekly paycheck, and you spend that on something that lasts 2 weeks and feels like shit and is itchy and like barely looks right. Yeah, no, I think Fanatics really needs to knock this one out of the park. I don't know how much faith I have in them to do that quality wise, but design wise, I think we're in for some good ones.
Yeah, and the good thing about this is that you can design this any way you want. You can make this your literal canvas, and with this, you can really cater to the fans' tastes. The fans, they have such broad imaginations that you can really tap into. Like for Vegas, again, Blue Man Group, Carrot Top, Philadelphia, you can make it with not the Statue of Liberty, but the Liberty Bell and Gritty. I mean, again, possibilities are endless. You could really go to town with this and have a lot of fun. And if Fanatics nails this, then hey, it'll help their reputation quite a bit. So you want to really do that. You want to really nail this. Otherwise, you're cooked.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially we talked about it earlier with MLB and NBA having their various alternate jerseys, the City Connect with MLB, and then various city versions and other kinds of alternates for the NBA. They've become just a glut of alternate jerseys in a good way. I'm a jersey guy, so I when I say stuff like that, I mean it affectionately. I could never get enough jerseys. So they're definitely competing, not just like with themselves, but with the other leagues in something like this. You want to stand out, and I think NBA has done a really, really good job recently of standing out, especially jersey wise. I don't think the MLB Connect jerseys were really hit or miss. I remember hating the Philadelphia one, not liking it at all. But there were a handful that looked really nice, I think. I don't know. I think Fanatics really, really needs to do a good job. I've reiterated it a couple times, but it's important for this one, their first one.
And looking back on it too, I mean, when they started off, it was some fanfare to it, but then they kind of did it to themselves with the quality again, which you don't want to do that. Like again, like I said, you don't want to sell your people short on quality. You want to give them the best product possible. So I'm excited for what's going to happen. I'm excited to see what's going to go on. Let's roll this out, baby. Let's see what it does, where it goes. So anyways, moving on, we're going to talk a little bit today. I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball today. So
okay,
the NHL, not the NHL, but the Athletic did this 5 years from now projection. And they basically try to put out the crystal ball because, the dog days of summer are basically here for NHL coverage. And one of my ex-followers, Rita Homan, talked about this too, tweeted it, and just throw shit at the wall and just see whatever sticks. And essentially what they were talking about is the Vegas Golden Knights being 22nd. And I get it. You don't have a stacked roster in the minor leagues. You don't have a whole lot of prospects that you can grab. But there's a couple of things that kind of bug me with that. And it's the fact that Kelly McCrimmon has shown a little bit of adaptability with his roster makeup. In the NHL, you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to you have to make the right moves. You have to bring in the right people. You have to know what your whole apparatus is around your operation. Otherwise, you're going to be screwed. And basically, what they said was eventually the whole run is going to have to end at some point. And the whole run is going to have to end at some point in time. And you're going to have to be, well, mediocre, which is true. It's true. But the problem with that is the Golden Knights have been told this before. They have been told this time and time and time and time again. People didn't think they were going to be good in 2017 and 2018. They were told that they were going to stink. They were going to be the worst team in the NHL. What happened that year? They made the Stanley Cup final. People still waited. They were still waiting for the Golden Knights to somehow falter and completely collapse. They didn't do that. They expected that during Gerard Gallant. Didn't happen. Pete DeBoer, when he got fired after they missed the playoffs for the first time in their franchise history, didn't happen. And same thing with this year too, with the last season too. And I'm of the belief that you have to prove it for me to actually believe something, because it's not a consistency, it's a recency bias, right? And the recency bias says the Golden Knights have absolutely dominated. They've done terrific work, and there's nothing that's going to change my mind on that. Nothing. So you can try all you want to convince me that this will be the end in 5 or so years. Until they actually do it, I'm not going to budge. This is still going to be a competitive team until they show otherwise. And by the way, Doug, the Philadelphia Flyers were ranked 14th.
Wow. They really like Owen Tippett, I guess.
Well, it's not just Owen Tippett. It's Porter Martone, Trevor Zegras, Matt V. Mickhoff. A lot of good young talent. They said there may not be enough at the premium positions yet to be a top-tier team, but they do have a lot of good young prospects.
They definitely do. They've done a good job of building up the asset coffers, if you will, when it comes to the young prospects. I don't disagree with you, but I also don't necessarily disagree with them. I remember saying something similar when we were talking about it in our season previews, how Vegas has done an absolutely incredible job of roster building, and then the one deficit that you could actually find is finding those draft picks, those development guys that you stick in the minors and that are like wait and see, a draft and stash, to use old NBA terms, someone that you develop for 3 or 4 years and then have them replace some of your older guys now. Granted, Vegas hasn't needed that. They have done an absolutely incredible job of retooling through free agency and through trades and haven't needed to dip into Henderson for some of their lower end guys or to replenish a Jonathan Marchessault who leaves or anything like that. They've done an absolutely incredible job on that front. And I agree with you. I think that's going to continue. I don't think the philosophy of Vegas is going to change anytime soon. I don't think it's going to bite them in the ass like everyone thinks it's going to. I think their entire history, they have proven that they build teams in a different way. I agree that building through the draft is the most effective way for long-term success, but it's not the only way. And the way Vegas has done the past couple of years, really savvy free agent moves, really savvy drafting, or well, not savvy drafting, savvy trading is what I actually mean. I just don't see that changing. They're in a bit of not cap hell, but probably a step below cap hell. There's a couple of contracts there that aren't great. Aiden Hill, Thomas Hurdle, not great contracts, but also not absolute albatrosses that either can't be moved or can't be effective for your team still. This year especially, they're not falling off. 3 years from now, 5 years from now, that's a long time. But the philosophy works. It's proven to work, and I just don't see it stopping.
And I think what people forget too is that you still have the front office philosophy that works. You still have Kelly McCrimmon in there, and that's going to make moves. Until he's gone, that's probably going to be the same status quo. It's still going to be a competitive team. It's still going to be a good team. So how many Stanley Cups will they win? I don't know. They might not win one at all. But the philosophy is still there. And as long as you have a good front office in front of you, you're going to compete. You're going to be in the mix for a Stanley Cup. And that has not wavered at all. And yeah, you can point at the prospects. There aren't a whole lot there. But at the same time, you have to look at, hey, you still have the personnel that are making this work. And of course, that also includes the guy at the top, which is Bill Foley. He's the one who instilled this, hey, we got to win 6 years from now. We got to win the Stanley Cup in 6. That's my promise to you. And lo and behold, he did that. So as long as you have the right personnel in the front office, you're going to nail, basically, you're going to prove a lot of people wrong, and you're going to nail your own expectations.
And the one thing I will say, or another thing I'll say about it, in a league filled with the Vancouvers and the Buffaloes who take 5, 6, 7 years to go from competing team to competing team, there's something to admire about a team who every year is all in on competing this year and is focused right now on what's in front of them. There's something to be said about that kind of mentality, and to be praised kind of in a league that is planning for 5 years from now and is missing the forest for the trees a lot of the time.
And here's the funny thing too, they're talking about NHL expansion. Not every team's going to be successful like the Golden Knights. Seattle Kraken come to mind. You gotta remember that a lot of those front offices they try to draft and develop the right way. Which, again, as you said, drafting is not a proven commodity. You're not going to get a whole lot of people coming into the league that are going to make you instantly good. The Kraken, I'm going to pick on them for a second, and I'm going to go and bully them for a little bit. But it's true. The Kraken made this ode, I think it was Ron Francis or whoever, that said, like, hey, we're going to draft and develop and do things the right way, as opposed to Vegas Golden Knights. And the funny thing with that, too, first of all, is that they had a whole lot of players they could have picked off from that expansion draft, like Alexander Ovechkin, Gabriel Landeskog. They could have really made a good left wing tandem on their roster. They didn't. Instead, what they did was they decided, hey, we're going to go draft and develop a bunch of guys. We're going to go and try and take the right route instead of trying to buy, quote unquote, buy our championships, even though you can't really do that in the salary cap era and all that. But now they're trying to backtrack, and they're trying to get all these guys like Jason Robertson, Artemi Panarin, and nobody wants to go there anymore because they look at the Kraken and they're like, this isn't a winning franchise. What they've tried hasn't worked. And guess what? That applies too with the drafting. Has Seattle really hit on any of their draft prospects? Not really. Matty Beniers was an extremely high draft pick for the Kraken. And yet he hasn't turned out as well as they hoped. He's good, but he's not going to be like a Celebrini. He's not going to be a Connor McDavid. He's not going to be any of those guys that are going to come in and steal the game for you. He's just good. He's the Hall of really good, not Hall of Fame.
Yeah, their problem is development more than anything. They've had the picks. They've had the picks to bring in game-changing talent, and they've had people who have had that potential. Shane Wright was being looked at as the number 1 pick in their draft, and Berkeley Catton was someone who came in with an immense amount of hype. And what did he do? 17 points? And let me be real, I don't really blame Berkeley Catton for that. I think it's an organizational issue from the top to the bottom of just being mid, I think is the way to put it.
Exactly.
I don't want to talk too much shit about Seattle. I like the city, and I like a lot of their teams, if I'm being quite honest, but this is not a well-built team. This is a team filled with middle 6 forwards. They somehow draft top prospects and turn them into middle 6 forwards. I'm worried about Chase Reed, but I think he'll end up being really good, just not for Seattle. And I kind of feel the same about Shane Wright and Berkeley Catton. I think they're going to end up being very effective players in the NHL, just somewhere not Seattle.
Exactly. Somewhere not Seattle. And I like to use this analogy for the Kraken too, is that they're kind of like the Seattle Mariners. They don't, which is funny because they're right in the Emerald City with them. They're not going to be a competitive team. They're going to sign a bunch of mid guys, quote you on that, and they're going to just be there. They're going to be mediocre. They're going to be mid. They're going to be average. They're not going to do a whole lot. And the thing is that they kind of screwed the pooch on themselves with not taking that whole philosophy. They could have boosted their chances of getting Artemi Panarin or Jason Robertson or any of these top flight targets and free agents by just being competitive right out of the gate. Look at what happened with the Golden Knights when they decided, hey, we're going to be a lot more aggressive. We're going to get this guy. We're going to play a little bit of money ball here. Shea Theodore, Jonathan Marchessault, Riley Smith. We're going to go and build this roster, add so much depth to it, and we're going to add Marc-Andre Fleury just for shits and giggles. And what happened the first year? Stanley Cup final. And they've been competitive ever since. And they've only missed the postseason once. And doing that 8 out of the 9 years is make the playoffs 8 out of the 9 years is rather impressive. And you can't fault the organization for being aggressive, for being cutthroat. Yeah, some people don't like it. Guess what? There are winners and losers in life. Are you going to be a loser? Or are you going to be a winner? Tell me what you want to be.
I don't think I'll go that far, but
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I don't know. It's a top-down organizational thing. I think GM has to go. I don't know how he has his job. I don't know how he got the job. I don't know how he's keeping the job with the actual team construction here. The only positive I'll say, I don't even know if it's necessarily a positive. They've done a good job of spreading out their money, but I think that comes back to they keep getting a bunch of guys that are middle pairing guys. So yeah, they're not expecting the $9-10 million contract. When you bring in a Capo Caco, yeah, you get to save a little bit of money and get $5 million, but you also save 50 points on the board that you don't end up getting.
Right. You can be the cheapo schmucko GM that wants to save a few bucks and cut a few corners. But if you don't actually commit to winning right out of the gate, you're screwed. So you got to really be aggressive. You got to really take the initiative on that. And I think for them, they didn't do that. Just, oh my gosh. It just doesn't sit right with me, dude. Like, they had a chance to really be just like the Golden Knights, and they were given an opportunity in the expansion draft. They didn't take it. It's like, take the chance, dude. Take the chance. You only live once. Like, do it. Like, legit do it. There's your inspirational advice for today. Just swoosh, do it.
Just
Nike.
do it.
See, I'm good at giving advice.
Just do it.
But
Shia LaBeouf, Jesus Christ.
That's exactly the Shia LaBeouf. Exactly what I was thinking. But all right, we're gonna cut it here. By the way, guys, you can also follow me on TikTok, Jacob Vegas Hockey Night. You can also follow me on the Instagram as well, Jacob Vegas Hockey Night. Also on Twitter, FS Vegas Hockey is where you can get all the updates and good stuff on there. You can also check out Golden Knights fans and Vegas Hockey Night on Facebook as well. And go ahead and plug your stuff here too.
Come follow me on Twitter at Dougie Charms. I don't post a shit ton, but you can come follow me. Come read my stuff at Backsports page. Weekly column, The 5 Count, will be starting this next week. So come start reading that. When I have more stuff to plug after that, I will, but that's all for right now. That's all I really want to plug.
Hey, you do what you can with it, so I can't blame you for it. But again, you can check us out on Backsports page. This is where you can find a lot of good stuff on there. You can find a lot of wrestling articles, basketball, hockey, you name it. Got you covered. Plain and simple. But I'm excited for the upcoming season. Can't wait for the jerseys. No, it'll be black, but we'll go with that and have fun with it. So I'm Jacob Walters here of jacobsrealm.com. By the way, jacobsrealm.com. You can find all the episodes and all that good stuff. I'm going to start posting there too. Start giving my little Sunday thoughts, weekly thoughts, and yeah, we'll have fun with it.
Hi, guys.
Take care, guys.